Back. Now, question, when was the last time you ate fish? You still thinking? Now, if you are not one given to eating fish, perhaps you need to talk to the people of Othaya, Nyeri County, who will tell you that fish is worth fighting for. Now, the fishing industry has been growing in leaps and bounds, courtesy of the State Department of Fisheries. Much more is in store that is set to revolutionize the fishing industry. And we're honored indeed to have Professor Micheni-Ntiba, who is the Principal Secretary in the State Department of Fisheries. Welcome to the Power Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Mukasi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When was the last time you ate fish, by the way?
Last night.
What?
It is interesting you asking that question.
Yeah.
Because I remember one time, I think in early 2012.
2012,
I was on my rounds visiting in the constituencies.
Yes.
In Trans-Nzoia. And we visited, one of the communities, which and well over 50 fish ponds.
Wow.
And all the fish was mature. And the interesting thing was that the owners.
The owners, yes.
It's like they turned around to me, and they were kind of telling me, now you see PS, all these fish, it's like, it kind of made me feel guilty, in the sense that it's like they were farming for me.
Not for themselves.
I needed to show them what to do with it, and things like those ones.
Yeah.
And so in our impromptu meeting there, I asked them the same question, which was, could you tell me who ate fish 3 months ago? Everybody raised his hand. Who ate fish 2 months ago? Everybody raised his hands. Who ate fish 3 weeks ago? Everybody raised his hands. Who ate fish yesterday? 3/4 raised their hands. So the question was, where did this fish come from? Here you have a lot of fish.
Absolutely.
You complaining that you do not know what to do with it, and you eat fish on a daily basis. So they would eat fish from elsewhere.
My goodness.
But not their fish. And I think the question comes about the market. And how we define it. And if you think, for example, that we are 40+ million Kenyans now, and I think when we are talking about a market is one, the numbers of people, and also the capacity, the purchasing power of people to these commodities. And I think now we should go back and look at this question, that in the entire, I think, production sector, where we should be asking ourselves initially, where is the market? I think we need to define that question to be able to answer, when did you eat fish?
Absolutely.
First of all, we should ask, where is the market? So we respond to this market. And I think first I'm saying we are lucky in the sense that we are 40 million
That's
plus.
A market ready there.
That's a market. And sometimes you find the local market is better than those markets we think about there. I think the thing is, everybody here thinks that fish from Lake Victoria always goes to the European Union, goes to other countries. But we are a fish scarce country. And fish is important in our nutrition, in our food budget. This is very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, for a very long time, we have had the notion that fish is only a preserve of a particular community. In fact, other communities felt this is a snake. How do you even start eating fish? And even up to date. In fact, the last time I ate fish, somebody was telling me, I can't eat this. I mean, think about the bones and all that. How are you reaching out to people to realize that this is a very nutritious option? apart from meat and chicken and quails now, that fish is actually one of the best options?
Well, fish has been food for mankind since time immemorial. Yeah. But also, like you are saying, because it is in water, because fish lives in water environment, in an aquatic environment, so to speak. That's what we call it in biological terms. So you can't find fish everywhere. So you'll find it in lakes, in oceans, in rivers sometimes. But fish, wherever it occurred, has been fished all those years. Remember the times of Jesus, his first disciples were rounded up as they were fishing. So fish, good food for humanity, for all of us, good protein, other nutritious values like potassium and phosphates. Remember, for example, when we talk about nutrients, you know, the food components in terms of what they are, you know, the minerals and things like that. For example, phosphorus, very important, you know, in making of bones, in our nervous system.
Absolutely.
I think also as a component of our brain and things like that. But phosphorus, in its cycle on Earth, tends to be removed from the land through rainfall and swept into rivers through runoff into big water bodies, into oceans and lakes. And there's no way of getting it back from there, back onto land so that it is cycled. So one of the natural ways was to eat seafoods so that you can be able to get it that way. But that's why people are saying those who ate fish were very clever, because it's only that way. Yeah. And that's why today we have to use a lot of phosphatic fertilizers, basically because of that. But yes, fish in waters, and therefore that's how people associated it that's how people associated fish with certain communities. But that was not until the end of the Second World War, when most of the military advanced technology went back into the seas to be employed there to locate fish better, to catch it more efficiently, so that at around 1960, most of the natural stocks of fish had been depleted. And so from that point, the future for providing the growing human population with extra fish is no longer seen as would come from the natural waters. We have to farm it.
Right, right.
And if you look at the statistics of fish caught in the natural waters and fish farmed now, more than 50% is from farmed systems. Well, so in other words, that's why you find then as a country, we've got to think in that direction. Because you see, for example, the fishery in Lake Victoria, though lucrative, is also showing signs of decline. We have fisheries in Lake Turkana, but we haven't been able to exploit Lake Turkana to the extent that we should to benefit the country because of you know, other problems to do with logistics, infrastructure, of how to get there and so on. And we hope when the Lamu corridor and counties develop the road infrastructure and everything else, that will be an area for development.
All right.
Sea fisheries, we have an ocean. But sea fisheries, the sea environment, is a complex environment. And of course, you require good boats to work in those environments. So unfortunately, we haven't invested much in our sea fisheries. So what you tend to find is that people fish in the near shore waters. So the near shore waters are now depleted. So we need to develop capacity to move into the deeper waters.
Perhaps you could talk to us about, you know, developing that capacity, because we've seen still traditional ways of fishing are still being used in some parts. And the government is actually doing something in terms of even incorporating technology. And perhaps you could talk to us about even the Monday launch.
Yeah, so our ocean, you know, we have a coastline of about 650 kilometers, you know, in a straight, I mean, through a straight line, but in a zigzag manner, because the coastline is not a straight thing. I think we have about 800 kilometers of coastline. And also, if you think about the part of Kenya that is in the sea, especially after the ratification of the Law of the Sea International Convention in 1985, when countries with a coastline claimed a substantial part of the sea, 200 nautical miles. If you think 200 nautical miles and roughly even nautical mile is it's roughly about 2 kilometers. So you're saying that if you're standing in Mombasa, for example, looking seawards, about 400 kilometers of that surface and the water column going to whatever depth, and the land on which that water sits is Kenya's territory.
Wow.
So if you imagine, we've only been fishing near shore waters. We haven't gone to exploit it is because of lack of capacity. Like I said, we need ships to get there. Without proper ships, of course, modern day ships, like I told you, after the Second World War, have all the technology inbuilt in them to be able to see from the ship deck better, to be able to locate your fishing nets better. You know, we need modern ships, modern, you know, boats to be able to get out there. These are not cheap vehicles. They're not cheap at all. So I think that's the main problem. I think the other thing would also be to be able to train our people. I don't think we have a seafarer, you know, a seafarer culture where people and our population will think about the investments in the sea. Is what I mean. And probably this comes from the training that we've had in the country, thinking about how the degree courses are planned, how much do we understand the sea, things like that. But you can also understand, if, for example, we haven't had a craft to get even students into the water, students will grow without that knowledge that this is an area for investment, not just for fish, but also for other resources, because fish and its related other creatures, the way they eat each other in the food chain, you know, form the living marine resources. You know, fish, crustaceans, mollusks, all those things. Seaweeds, there's a lot of harvesting of seaweeds and farming of seaweeds there. Yeah. Also farming in the sea. There are places I went into the Mediterranean where they are actually ranching fish, tuna.
Wow.
It's being ranched in huge, you know, cages in the sea and things like that. Wow. But also there is also the aspect of the sea where there are other non-living resources. Yeah. You know, you hand over minerals. You can remember in 1985, at the time the Law of the Sea Convention was being ratified, beyond the continental shelf, the bottom of the sea was left for the world community, so that the minerals that are down there can be exploited for the rest of the world. So we also need to exploit our minerals there. Yeah. Oil,
absolutely, I mean,
natural gases, and other things there that we do not know.
Right. Perhaps you could tell us a bit about what's going to happen on Monday in relation to the launch that is going to be officiated by the President. It's going to take us to another level.
True. It's all in the effort of building capacity for the sea, for exploiting our sea resources. Remember,
What should we expect tomorrow, on Monday?